You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to this edition of Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTD Productions. I'm your host, Graham Forsyth. This edition of Manitoba Show, as always, is brought to you by Evolve Green and AETI. In today's episode, it's the final edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba for 2021. Don't worry, we'll be back in 2022, but this will in fact be the last edition of the show for this year. And we got a great lineup of guests joining the show. As always, Harry Siemens will be joining the show first here on the Farm Report to put a wrap on 2021, as well as talking about the three most notable stories from the year, Christmas greeting to farmers, and some other things as well. Executive Director of Football Manitoba, Bill Johnson, will be joining the show as well to talk about the winter flag football season coming up, the HP programming that they got going on in the winter, and some other things as well. And of course, Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, will be joining the show to talk about the past weekend of games for the U15 program there and some other stuff too. So stay tuned for that. And in Graham's opinion, it's a loaded one today, a loaded lineup of things that me and Seth Rock will be talking about first, and then I'll be talking about some more Christmas stuff, as Seth will be not in the show for that part. In part two of the segment, I'll be talking about some Christmas based topics. So without further ado, let's run the intro of today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. And once that intro runs, folks, you know what that means. It's time to rise and shine here on ASTD Productions. And for the final time in 2021, we're going to throw it to the Farm Report here. And as always, joining me on the Farm Report is the main man himself, Harry Siemens. The Farm Report brought to you by Wolf Enterprises. And Harry, great to have you on here, the show for one last time here in 2021. How are you doing 3 days before Christmas? Are you getting into the festivities, the holiday season at all?
You know, we're just going to kind of play it by ear and take it easy, right? And so, yeah, I have 6 grandchildren that live 5 minutes away, and my daughter and son-in-law. And so we'll spend some time together. I have a daughter and son-in-law and a grandson in Maple Ridge, British Columbia. We'll obviously talk to them by video, but I did see them in August. They visited me for 10 days. So that's all good.
Yeah, Harry has a lot of family in many different places, which is awesome. It's going to be awesome for you to connect with them and spend time with them this holiday season for sure, Harry. But, putting a wrap on 2021. It was a pretty interesting year. The drought back in the summer months. Looking at many other things. I mean, the flood in BC that affected animals and affected BC. But talk about 2021 as a whole. Looking back at it, what it brought to agriculture, to farmers here in Manitoba, and just in the world in general.
And first and foremost, I did a survey back in the beginning of December of farmers on Twitter, and we may have talked about it a little bit before, but I wrote the article, and basically what the headlines should indicate is that yes, we had a drought. Yes, we had probably a 40% cutback in our crops. And at the same time, the farmers, I asked them, I said, what's the status of the soil moisture on your farm? Because Agriculture Canada came out with a drought map, and it went on Twitter, and producers right away said, well, that area that's indicated as my area, that's not what my situation is like. So I did a survey of them, and so for the most part, they were all thankful for the rain and snow that we've gotten so far as the fall of 2021. And but secondly, we're going to need spring showers and more rain for next spring. Some farmers are concerned that if we don't get the runoffs and we don't get the rain and the snowfall, next year could be a repeat of 2021 as far as crop production is concerned. So that's the big story of the year as far as I'm concerned. The second big part of that story has to do with the prices. I've talked to farmers about forward selling. I mean, some farmers started forward selling their 2021 crop last fall. They know what they're going to plant. Normally, they would have a good crop. So some farmers forward got a little optimistic once the price started to go up, and they started to forward sell more than what would be their normal comfort zone. So some of them had to buy the grain that they sold for $10 a bushel back for maybe $18 or $19 a bushel to fill their contract. So that's not what it's designed to do, but that's how it's designed to work for the buyers, not just the sellers. So, but at the same time, the positive is that the prices are basically double than what they were for the crop year 2020, and that's compensated for the 35 to 40% drop in production this year. So they're getting paid well for the crop. The quality of the crop, for the most part, was still good. Just because we have a drought doesn't mean we have a bad crop, except in one area. And I did an interview with Dan Sawatsky yesterday, who's the manager of the Keystone Potato Producers Association out of Portage la Prairie. They look after all the processing of potatoes, and so producers in the western part of the province, as far as potato crop is concerned, did okay because they had access to the Assiniboine Delta aquifer. They can basically 90% of the processing potatoes are grown in that particular area. But we also have some further east in our area, and where we didn't have any runoff, the irrigation ponds were not there. So we also have quite a drop in potato quantity and quality, because once it gets too hot, once the humidity is up there at 30 to 35, or the temperature, the potato crops suffer, especially if there isn't irrigation and moisture to go along with it. So number one, we have the drought. Number two, we have crop prices. And number three, a close third, the drought again related, but the cattle industry. I was just processing an interview I did with a cattle producer from Sundown, Manitoba, Randy Kachik. And he's basically liquidated 45 to 50% of his herd just because there wasn't enough feed. And he says, I'm not in financial difficulty. I'm not in bad health. It was a management decision where he got rid of half of his breeding herd for this coming year because he didn't want to pay the higher prices for feed. anywhere from 10 to, he said, I think 13 cents a pound. He says, he couldn't make a living, so he's better off getting his money for his breeding stock, and then from there going going ahead to replenish that breeding stock once looks like he's going to have feed for next year. But the feed has to come from his ground, not from somebody else's ground, because it's just too expensive. And I think the overall factor, British Columbia, we're still working on that aspect to make sure that our grain is moving west to the ports, but it's still a struggle. And the other thing, part of that has to do with COVID. And we've talked about that before, where truckers, we're going to see probably 15, 20,000 truckers that are going to park their rigs because they're not going to get vaccinated going across. So that's a huge supply chain issue. And so another part has to do with machinery prices. We had a chance to visit with Machinery Pete, who's looked at auction prices for 32 years. And he said he's never seen machinery prices the way they are right now. And it's just like, if you see a tractor on an auction, and because of the auctions taking place online, a guy from Oklahoma can buy a tractor in Winkler. And if he wants that tractor, he'll pay the price for it and bring it back to his place in Oklahoma, vice versa. So those are the issues that are facing us as far as agriculture is concerned.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail right on the head there, Harry. Those were, things that we talked about quite a bit, talking about the drought, talking about the prices and crops and just on the market, and as well as cattle is something we talked about quite a bit. And of course, can't forget about Machinery Pete, as we talked about last week. But, talking about, you said how we could be seeing the same thing if we don't get the right amount of moisture for 2022 in terms of the drought. In terms of the other, big things that we saw here in 2021, what should we be looking forward to in 2022 as how those stores in terms of the cattle industry, the prices on the market will be in 2022 at this point?
That is the $64 question. Talked to quite a few farmers and analysts and so forth, and right now we're probably in a weather market as far as prices are concerned. The weather market doesn't normally start till April or May of the next following year, but we're watching. We're watching what's going to happen with snowfall. We're watching what's going to happen with rainfall, and that's going to have a lot to do with what the crop will be like for 2021. So looking forward, things are relatively positive. The governments have come up with different programs for different sectors of agriculture. We have the hog industry, we have the cattle industry, we have the poultry industry, and the British Columbia situation is a smaller area, but nevertheless, it's been a horrendous situation. Kentucky and a couple of other states in the United States where farms have been demolished. It's a horrible scene. And so that has to recover. And you know what? There's a typhoon that hit the farming sector in the Philippines, and they too are suffering and some places starving because there's no food locally, and the prices of food are going up. And I guess the other thing going into 2022 is, number one, we've got to be looking at, and I don't want to overemphasize it, but the supply chain. What's going to happen with parts, what's going to happen with food, what's going to happen with deliveries going back and forth across the border. Also, ocean freight. China is always a mixed bag. They're always kind of a question mark as to what exactly they are doing, because when they do something, it's always in their favor that they're trying to do something. So we're going to be looking at China, whether it's hog production, whether they're buying grain, and we're going to just keep looking for moisture here in Western Canada. But for the most part, I believe our farmers here in Western Canada, and Canada for that matter, are probably as good a position as any farmer in the entire world.
talking about something now, Harry, that we've talked about as well before here on the Farm Report here in 2021. The PED virus. You told me yesterday that there's an update on the situation. Give us a rundown on the newly updated situation on the PED virus.
Very briefly, last week I think we talked about 22 farms that had broken the PED virus. We're now up to 27. And that's not a good thing. We're climbing and climbing and climbing, and so and the other thing is normally it would stay in eastern Manitoba, but a few of those things, it has jumped the Highway 75, and so the update basically is that the PED virus continues to multiply, and secondly, biosecurity, biosecurity, biosecurity are the three key issues that I would suggest to hog farmers and livestock feed truck drivers and everybody. We got to be careful. You don't want to see this thing spread like it did a couple of years ago to about 88 facilities. Hopefully we can keep it under 30, if not under 30, then under 40. But just as an aside, on January 8th or 9th, I'm heading to Banff, Alberta, and we're going to do the show that Wednesday. We will do it from the Banff Pork Seminar at the Banff Springs Hotel, and it's my winter vacation in Banff at a pig meeting. How's that?
Yeah. Seems pretty fitting for Mr. Harry Siemens for sure. It's going to be awesome to do the show then, Harry, on January 8th. While you're at that pig meeting, which will be interesting to see what's happening over there at that seminar at that time. But a couple more things here, Harry. You want to give a Christmas greeting for farmers? Let's hear your Christmas greeting.
That my shout outs is to the entire agricultural industry. I wish them a really blessed and Merry Christmas, and for me, the reason for the season is Jesus Christ, and so I wish everybody a blessed Christmas. But at the same time, not just the farmers. We have the farm workers, we have the suppliers, we have the people that develop crops and do the genetics and all those kinds of things. And we have government people involved. The ag industry is huge. It's so big. Not only is it huge in numbers, it's huge because it feeds you and me, Graham, and all the other people around. And so I wish that entire ag industry a very Merry Christmas. Also to all our viewers and, of course, everyone. And as my friend and mentor, Orion Samuelson, who retired exactly a year ago after 60-some years as a broadcaster doing what I do, he said, if you eat, you are involved in agriculture. And so that's a message that I'd like to leave to everybody.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like you've said many times, Harry, and I'm on board with this. Just knowing what farmers and people in the industry do, farmers feed the world. So gotta give even though I'm not wearing a hat, a tip of the cap to them for sure during this holiday season, especially. But let's finish it off. The final farming tip of the year for Harry Siemens, from Harry Siemens on Siemens Says Here, Harry's farming tip of the week for farmer on Rise and Shine.
My tip of the week is that, as I said before, if Canadian farmers are about as good off as any farmer in the entire world. And I would say, look at 2021 as something that's happened. We were able to do okay. Look forward to 2022 and don't change anything except a little bit of cosmetic changes as far as rotation is concerned. But do what you did, because what you did and didn't happen for you in 2020 wasn't your fault. So my tip of the week is, you know what? Sometimes farmers feel guilty because they think they didn't do the right thing. You did the right thing. You fed the world. So keep going forward and keep doing the right thing, just exactly as you have learned to do. And there will be more programs to help you improve even more.
Well, as always, wise words from a very wise man in the industry, Harry Siemens, for one final time here on 2021 on his segment, The Farm Report on Rise and Shine Manitoba. Harry, until we see you in the new year in 2022, I can't wait for that. But you have a wonderful holiday. Stay safe out there as well, as always, and have yourself a wonderful and Merry Christmas there, Harry.
You too, my friend.
Thanks, Harry. You take care. And Harry Siemens, always a blast having him on the show to start off our coverage here on Rise and Shine Manitoba on Wednesday mornings. And we're not done. We're far from done here on Manitoba's show for the final time here on 2021. Well, in 2021. Coming up next, we're going to be talking some football. Executive Director of Football Manitoba, Bill Johnson, stops by on Rise and Shine Manitoba show next here on ASTV.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. Of course, Manitoba show brought to you by Evolve Green and AATI. You just saw and heard from our sponsor, one of our sponsors here, of course, in Evolve Green. Be sure to check them out on their website if you're interested in going solar, of course, battery backups, all that good stuff from Evolve Green at evolvegreen.ca. So Harry Siemens joined the show first here on the Farm Report for one final time here on 2021. But as much as I enjoy hearing about the interesting things going on in agriculture, I do also love talking about football, and what better way to talk some football than with Executive Director of Football Manitoba, Bill Johnson, joining the show here on this Wednesday morning. Bill, it's been quite a long time since we last talked. How have things been going since the last time that we talked here on the show?
It's good. It's been a busy time with our wrapping up our outdoor season, and we managed to get in football in 2021, so that's a success because 2020 wasn't so good for us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 2020 was not the best year for a lot of people, especially the sports, minor sports, especially for Football Manitoba. But talk about how these leagues wrapped up. How many leagues we saw wrapped up here in 2021 successful.
Well, we managed to get all of our leagues that we govern here ran successfully, right from Thunder Bay right through to the RMFL, which runs in Southwest Manitoba. So we had the Winnipeg High School League, we had Manitoba Minor, we had the Manitoba Girls Football, which they did some creative things this year. It's normally a spring league, and with some of the restrictions around COVID and things, they couldn't run in the spring. So in the fall, they ran it as more of a skills camp kind of thing, and then they ran some exhibition games toward the end of it all. So really cool opportunities for girls who wanted to play tackle football as well. And then, of course, all of our outdoor flag leagues wrapped this summer as well, and we had more kids than ever playing flag football. So it was a really cool year.
Yeah, for sure. And, flag football is such a wonderful, version of the sport of, traditional tackle football. Obviously seeing high school seasons wrap up was awesome as well. And the other leagues that you guys had wrapping up. But
Mhm.
looking forward, winter flag football coming up. Seems like that'll be a lot of fun. Fill us in on that.
Yeah, so we lost our season last year for indoor flags. So we're excited about this. We have space at the Recplex every Saturday at the U of W, and on Saturday afternoons, starting January 15th, kids come out and they play a full-on league for about 8 weeks through the winter, and it's a really cool experience. We're almost full, almost entirely sold out right now, so people are welcome to check our website and look to register. But we're still looking for girls teams. We have a high school girls division, and we're looking for some teams in there. So if there's any teenage girls looking for a chance to play some flag football, sign up. It's a lot of fun.
And I'm sure that we've talked about it before, but just the importance of having that female side of the game, having a girls exclusive league only, for girls to play against girls, how huge that is, and to building that part of football, getting more girls involved.
Yeah, I think that football has traditionally been a sport for boys, and so it's something that we're very cognizant of, and we've been working hard the last decade or so in this province. I say we very loosely because it predates my time at Football Manitoba. Even there's a lot of people in this province who have worked very hard to get girls involved, and we have things like the MGFA, Manitoba Girls Football Association, that's dedicated, a tackle league dedicated to young girls playing. We have the Fearless and the Wolf Pack, two adult women's teams here in the province, and we're seen as pioneers, as leaders in the sport of female tackle football. And I'd like to carry that forward and see the game grow. And I mean, if we want to see growth in the game, we got to open it up to a new audience. And girls playing the game that we all love, I think, is just a natural pathway for that.
Yeah, and you can't be afraid to, branch out into those different areas in the sport. And it's great that you guys have been able to, be supportive of that and been able to do that with just growing the female game here in Manitoba in football. Talking about, something that happened a while back. I just want to know what happened with this, the Football Manitoba Mega Raffle that happened on November 15th, how that all went this year, the numbers we saw with the Mega Raffle this year.
Yeah, so the Mega Raffle is we do it every year. It's a fundraiser for our members, really. So we kind of facilitate the whole thing, but it's a chance for our member clubs, leagues to make a little bit of money to help fund their operations, pay for their expenses, field costs, officiating costs, things like that. And so we did it this year for the second year in a row. It was done entirely virtually, which is not ideal. I mean, it's nice to get those young football players going door to door selling their tickets, but we did it virtually through funding change, and it was good. The winner went home with I think it was almost $6,000, so it's a pretty good prize. Yeah, so keep your eye out. Mega Raffle will be starting again probably in the next 3 or 4 months for the 2022 version, and support minor football.
Yeah, for sure. A great way to be able to do that. Hopefully by then we're able to not do this virtually and be in person, but we'll have to wait and see. Of course, COVID it seems to be a never-ending situation, especially as of late here in Manitoba. But talking about the HP programming for the winter, fill us in on that, Bill.
Yeah, so we run all our high performance program all starts indoors through the winter. Specifically, we have U18 boys and girls programs, and then we have U16 boys program as well for both tackle and flag. So the tackle version will be starting a little bit earlier than flag. Tackle will be running indoors at the Recplex starting towards the end of March. We partner with the University of Manitoba, and the Bison's coaches come out and they run sessions for U16 and U18 players, tackle football players. We get them out on the field, and they get to work with some of the best coaches in the province and do some things with that. So the ability to sign up for that will be available probably mid-January, and then that program starts the last Saturday in March. So it'll be a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, stay tuned for, when that will be going down on Football Manitoba's website, of course, but just that importance of having, some of the best coaches working with these kids, the upcoming talent in the sport here in Manitoba, just how huge that really is for these kids and for these players.
Yeah, it really opens some doors too. Some people aren't familiar, but our U18 teams actually go to national championships. The boys team goes to a Canada Cup, and the girls are going to their second ever tournament, which will be in Regina, a national championship for girls tackle football. But they get at the Canada Cup, they get CIS coaches, youth sport coaches out to scout these players, and they do some visiting with them. And it's a great chance if you want to be seen and play at a higher level. This is a chance to do that. And even if you don't, it's just a really good opportunity to compete at a team sport at a national level, which a lot of people don't get to do. And we have that pathway to create those opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. And like you guys doing what you can to create as many opportunities for these kids to develop and play at the highest level against other competition in the country. It's just fantastic to see, Bill. But, looking into 2022, I'm sure there's a lot planned, a lot of things that Football Manitoba wants to see be done. Obviously with missing quite a bit of time with the pandemic in the past 2 years. But what's going to be the plan in store for 2022? What you guys are looking to, one thing you guys are looking to accomplish?
Well, if there was one thing that I could wish for, I don't know how we plan for it. One thing we could wish for would be that we have what looks like a normal season of football, because everything's being condensed and pushed around. And I mean, I think of our flag season last year where we were ready to start with unprecedentedly high numbers. We were ready to start first week of May, and we didn't end up starting until the last week of July because things just keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed with different restrictions and things. So if we could just pull off a season at all levels with all of our leagues that looks like it did in 2019, I would be ecstatic with that. So that's I would say that would be one thing I would like to see us achieve this year.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that would be awesome. And then that would lead to a lot of things to be able to happen, like many different leagues, which would be fantastic to see football continuing to return to normalcy here in 2022. We'll just have to wait and see, of course, with what COVID is going to have to say about it. But Bill, it's been great having you on the show here in 2021. Thanks for being a part of Rise and Shine Manitoba this year. I can't wait to talk in the new year at some point about the big things that you guys got going on in Football Manitoba. But until we speak next time, Bill, you have yourself a happy holidays. I wish you and your family, the best this holiday season, you and your loved ones, and Merry Christmas as well, Bill. Take care.
Same to you as well, Graham. Take care.
Bill Johnson, Executive Director of Football Manitoba. Always great to have him on the show. Of course, it's huge to be able to get the scoop, the inside scoop of what's been going on in Football Manitoba, as always, from time to time when I have Bill on the show here. But coming up next, we are going to be doing the final interview here on Rise and Shine Manitoba for 2021. Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, stops by on the program next to talk about the past weekend of games for the U15 male prep Buffaloes, as well as what happened in the past week with the Christmas party, the Christmas celebrations, the Christmas festivities that the Hockey Academy had, as well as Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy had. Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy had, as well as the picture day that the Academy had last week, and some other things as well. So you're watching Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTV Productions, brought to you by Evolve Green and AETI. Stick around for more of Manitoba's show after this commercial break. On this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba is goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, Gordie Tumilson. Gordie, wasn't too much action for all three programs in the academy this past weekend, as two of them, the U17s and U18s, wrapped up the weekend prior. But for the U15s, they had a tournament that they played in Cairnport, Saskatchewan. Take us through, how that tournament went, that experience for the U15s in Cairnport this past weekend.
Well, it was a great experience. We went 2-2, and that's okay. We probably should have been 3-1. If it's funny, these young guys they show up some days and they don't show up the next day, or the vice versa. And it's we won the first game, kind of a surprise, and then lost the second game, kind of a surprise, and then you never know what's going to happen after that. I think though it looked to me like all the teams that were playing in the tournament were pretty tired. I think. They were looking forward to Christmas break and maybe the week before. And so going through the motions a little bit, it didn't look like there was a lot of excitement. Guys were scoring goals and not being too excited, and big saves were not being applauded. And we're just let's get this over with and get on with Christmas and get home and do whatever we want to do. So, but 2-2, a good record for our guys against some pretty good competition. So we'll take that when we leave and go home and get a break and come back full of P&V and ready to go for the last half of the season.
Yeah, and with Christmas so close to being here, of course, the big day on Saturday, Christmas Eve on Friday, it's understandable why these kids, not as not as excited as they usually are, but great that they were able to finish off the weekend with a 2-2 record, going 500 on the weekend, and that just means that there was some success from the team, obviously, with winning these two games that they did. Talk about where the biggest parts of the success for the U15s came from this past weekend.
Well, we got some goals and some goals from some people that don't normally score, so that was kind of neat. I can't rattle the names off for you, but nonetheless, we got some goals from a myriad of kids that were just kind of hanging around the net and shooting the puck at the goalie, and so our main guys were scoring some goals, but we did get some help from others, and that's a bonus. Some of the kids hadn't had too many points going into the end of the first half here, and a few extra points were shared by some of the others, and that's a good thing. Getting everybody involved and making plays, and we got some good defensive effort for some people. I know Tatnus played defense on the third game, which we won, and I guess Carson Carls was not available for that game, and so Tatnus played in the game and played defense and played pretty well. So, everybody got involved, and that was a good thing for us. It was a decent effort, I guess. It came up flat again in a couple of games that we lost, and that's never a good thing. But I guess that's what happens when you play, go get away for 4 months away from home, and now they're getting ready to go home.
Yeah, and speaking of just the time off, this U15 program had a lot of time off from this past weekend to their previous game played. Just talk about, Gordie, in your opinion, from what you heard, how this U15 team was able to knock off that rust, obviously able to get 2 wins and losing as well twice on the weekend.
Well, again, it's I think it's the age of the players and the fact that they just have a tough time putting, they're not the best players in the world. So they're, and when you take into that, they have to think their way through some of these situations. They spend too much time thinking. It's read and react, not read and think. And when you think your way through things, it slows your game down. You make more mistakes, and the other team capitalizes, and that's kind of what happened. And then you get a burst of energy, the third period yesterday we outscored the other team 5-2, and you still lost the game 7-5. So, we didn't do anything. We had 100 power plays in the first 2 periods and got nothing. Not quite 100, but pretty close. It seemed we were always in the power play and got away with nothing. And so. It's just strange how things happen. You get a couple of goals, and all of a sudden everybody's going full bore, and then you give up a weird one or 2 weird goals by players on our team deflecting the puck into our net or into the other player's stick, and bingo, it's in the goal. So just strange hockey. Certainly not the kind of hockey we expect to be playing for the most part. and certainly not the kind of hockey we're going to be playing as we get through February and get into the playoffs. So, yeah, get these kind of fun games out of the way and get into the break and get a rest and come back and get ready to bear down for 2.5 months.
Yeah, go home, have some nice Christmas dinner, spend some time with the family, some friends that these kids might have not been able to, haven't been able to see in a while from wherever they're from. Maybe they have some friends back home. Going to be a nice week off, a nice Christmas break for not only U15s, but the U17s and U18s. And then they'll be right back at it in the new year. But one more thing about the U15s until we move on and talk about some other stuff, Gordie, the goaltending. How the goaltending fared this past weekend for the U15s?
Well, we got a bit of a surprise. Pete Moreau played basically almost 3 full games. He missed the last period in the last game, but it was a 5-0 game at that time. So, and I guess Kean Reid had a bit of not so much of a struggle. The team played very poorly in front of him, and he's coming off of a 5-week no game stint. Had 2 weeks off with injury, and then we had 3 weeks off without playing in the game. So, he had 5 weeks off. His timing might have been a little bit off in game number 2, but the team played pretty flat. Didn't help him out, and so the coaches went with Pete Moreau in the 4th game to start, and we came out flat there too. And so Pete wasn't offered much of a chance in that game. So the goalies, Pete played pretty well. He was pretty steady in the 2 wins he got, and Kean Reid got his timing back a little bit. So they were okay. Our guys are similar to the rest of the team. We're kind of a AA group and moving into AAA type level of hockey, and so when we struggle, we do struggle. We've caught up a little bit. I know Kean Reid was really sort of coming into his own when he got hurt, and that slowed his progress down. But he'll come back after a break, and he'll get some ice time on the small goalie surfaces out in Lethbridge, and he'll come back. Ready to go with a little bit more quicker, a little bit more speed, and certainly a better focus than he had at the beginning of his tenure here at the Buffaloes in September and October.
Yeah, going to be nice for Kean to get some work in Lethbridge, like you said, Gordie, over the break. I know I talked to Izzy Amy, and he was on my other show, Coffee with Graham, last Thursday, and he said that he's got ice booked back in his hometown in Manitoba, so he's going to be staying in shape. I'm sure almost everybody will be looking to get some extra ice during their time away from the academy during this Christmas break, which will be awesome for you guys, just meaning these players will be revving and ready to go because they'll be already practicing a bit before by themselves. But talk about last week. I know you talked about how there was going to be a Christmas party and picture day, but we didn't get to talk about it here on the show. Talk about how picture day and that Christmas party went for the academy this in the last week when it happened.
Well, picture day is always fun. Of course, the kids have all got their hair done nice, and they all smell better, and all that kind of good stuff. So it sort of kills practice time, but nonetheless, all the kids got their nice pictures done, headshots, team pictures, and then we had 2 big group pictures where we get all 60 players together, coaches and whatnot. So that's always a bonus and a fun time. There's a lot of fun shots that the public doesn't get to see. We keep those for ourselves and whatnot. But it was a lot of good stuff there. And then the Christmas party, of course, really good dinner. I know Doug and Ginger and Paula from the from our ownership group and our staff people did a great job of cooking, getting salads ready. We had about 4 or 5 salads, lots of chicken and ribs and all that kind of good stuff with some nice cheesecake and strawberry shortcake. And so fortunately it was all diet dessert, so I didn't put on any weight. That was a good thing. And we got it in all at the Collins Hotel, which put us up there. We filled up the the restaurant and bar area and kind of nice, and took that over for a couple of hours, and then Ginger put on a whole bunch of games that guessing games and whatnot, whereby the teams had to guess some of the Christmas type questions and whatnot, and ended up the girls team won the little guessing game tournament, so they ended up with some prizes, and so it all went well. Then we had the fun thing where we had, and this all got on social media, where we had coaches. The three teams got to dress up their coaches in Christmas attire, I suppose, and they had a contest there, and I guess the girls' coach Brad won that. Brad Platt won that contest hands down, apparently. Although I didn't see the difference. They were all looking pretty funny, and we had lots of fun, lots of laughs at the expense of the head coaches. So that's always a good time. Yeah, it was a nice evening, nice afternoon, nice evening, and everybody got away nice, safe, and sound.
Yeah, and Izzy was telling me about how the coaches got dressed up. They dressed the coaches up, which was awesome to see, awesome to hear about. I assume that the goalies didn't dress you up like a Christmas tree. Gordie didn't dress you up in the Christmas festivities.
No, the goalies took it easy on me this time. It was nice of them, because they know that's like 2 million push-ups if they go the wrong way on my side. I'm a pretty fun guy, except when it comes to 2 million push-ups. I like that.
Right. 2 million, a number that you set in stone there for the punishment for the push-ups.
Oh yeah, we've got the strongest set of goalies in the league. They're doing push-ups all the time. It's a fun little gimmick I have with them.
Yeah, well, definitely a big plus for you guys having the strongest goalies in the CSSHL, thanks to goalie coach Gordie Tumilson there. But for this week, I assume not much is going on for the academy, with players going off home, going off to their families.
Yeah, about half the kids are gone already. It's Monday on this as we do this, so about half the kids are gone. There's a lot of travel involved here. And the other half will be gone by, I think, Wednesday. We got one extra guy. Miles Gordon is going to be the last player out on the 23rd. Thursday, I get the pleasure of taking Miles to the airport on Thursday, and that'll be a fun trip from Pilot-Mound back here to Winnipeg and whatnot. Miles, I'll have a good chance to chat about stuff and plan. He's my assistant goalie coach anyway, so he'll give me he'll have some thoughts, no doubt, and we'll have a good plan going forward in the last 2 months of the season.
Right on. Great to know that you'll be riding. Well, your assistant goalie coach will be riding with you and Miles Gordon on Thursday, which will be great. But obviously, with it being Christmas break now, of course, some players still needing to go home. They're still at the academy. But when will the academy resume to its normal activity? Will it be short? Like when exactly is that happening?
I think the third is the first day back for some. The U15 kids get back third and the fourth, I think, and they're going to practice right away. The bigger guys are just coming back on the 5th and 6th, I think, is the first day of school. So back on the 5th and have a practice. And then I think all three teams have got games on that first weekend. So they're going to be busy getting ready for that. I know they all took their skates home. Some of them took their equipment. I know the goalies, for the most part, I think 5 of the 7 took their equipment home. So they're going to get some work in and whatnot. So they'll be ready to go come that next weekend, and it'll be get pedal to the metal right away because we're getting in the games every weekend after that, right to the end of February and into the playoffs.
Well, for all the players in the academy, take some time to yourselves, of course. Wind down, kind of, clear the mind any way you can. Spend the time with family, have some amazing food this Christmas. Or if you don't celebrate Christmas, if you're in the academy, just, take some time and relax and, spend time with family anyways, spend time with friends because, like Gordie said, they'll be right back at it once the break is done in Pilot-Mound. But Gordie, you've been coming on the show pretty consistently ever since about the summertime. Of course, Christmas coming up. We won't be having a show next week, so I want to wish you happy holidays, Merry Christmas as well to all of the other all of the viewers that have tuned in watching from Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, just tuning into what Gordie has to say about the past weekend of games, the week of what's been happening with practice, the work he's doing with the goalies, and the upcoming weekend. Anything else we really talk about here, I want to wish you guys as well, the viewers of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, a Merry Christmas as well. Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy and marketing director as well. Gordie, I'll say it again, Merry Christmas and happy holidays. You take care. We'll see you in the new year.
Merry Christmas to everybody at ASTV, in particular yourself and our viewers. Thanks, Graham.
Gordie Tumilson joining the show here, Rise and Shine Manitoba, for one final time here in 2021. As I said before, not only do I want to wish Gordie a Merry Christmas and a happy holidays, but also all the viewers of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy and their players as well. But the viewers and the coaches of Pilot-Mound, but the viewers, the parents, the supporters of Pilot-Mound that have tuned into every one of the shows here, not just Rise and Shine Manitoba, but Coffee with Graham and the Prospect Show as well, 2 other shows that I host, and supporting ASTV. You guys have a wonderful Christmas, happy holidays as well, and stay safe out there as well. But coming up after the break, it is time for this week's edition of Graham's Opinion. Got to text my main man, Seth, here, and, tell him that it's time for him to join the show. And while I do that, we're going to send it to a commercial break here. You're watching Rise and Shine Manitoba show here on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after the commercial break.
Hello, my name is Loretta Mitchell, owner of Evolve Green. And here at Evolve Green, we take the environment very seriously. We have a 10 kilowatt solar system that offsets our main facility by 75%, as well as maintaining natural prairie on our grounds. Our mission, creating renewables that work for you. I started Evolve Green in 2008 with a passion for the environment and wanting to change my corner of the world. And that remains the same today. Through design, consult, and installation, we provide renewable energy systems and storage integration. Here at Evolve Green, we help Canadians rethink power and storage to help fortify our children's future. To learn more, visit evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTV Productions, everybody. Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, joined the show most recently to talk all things Buffaloes. Of course, Merry Christmas to and happy holidays to, once again, Gordie and the rest of, the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy family, the parents of the kids there, and yeah, just everyone involved in Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy. But it is time now for the final edition of my segment, Graham's Opinion, here on Rise and Shine for 2021. And joining me now on the show, as we've been doing recently for the 3rd time he's joining the show, is Seth Rock. Seth, didn't change up the background, I see. I like it. Still got the Jets jerseys in the background, which is great to see. How you doing on this Wednesday morning, buddy? 10:54 a.m., ready to talk about a lot of hockey.
Yeah. A lot of interesting things in the hockey world we're going to talk about today. But yeah, just thought I'd keep the same jerseys up there and wait till the new year to, really spice things up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm excited to see how exactly you're gonna spice those things up there.
Probably
Seth.
just a few new jerseys.
Just a
Probably
few new
nothing much. I
jerseys.
just
Yeah, any jerseys you're hoping for Christmas?
I don't think so. I didn't really ask for anything for Christmas. It's kind of gonna be an extreme surprise for me whatever I get.
Yeah, could be maybe a new jersey.
Maybe, who knows? We definitely
Maybe.
appreciate that dark blue alternate jersey that the Jets have.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're talking about it's like the heritage one, right?
Yeah, the one that they've been using lots this year.
Those are beauties, man. And what the Jets, honestly, like this is an unbiased take. I know that we are Jets fans here, Seth, but those jerseys, like the Heritage Classic one, the white ones that they wore, and these ones that they've been wearing this year pretty frequently, those are some of the nicest jerseys in the league.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they're probably some of the Jets just overall have some of the nicest jerseys in the NHL when it comes to how nice they are.
Yeah, and you know this, I've told you this before. I wasn't a fan of the Aviator jersey at first, but
Yeah.
it grew on me, and that jersey looks really nice at this point when they wear it. Have they worn it this year at all?
No, because it was their alternate last year, and then they changed their alternate to their blue, to their nice heritage ones.
Yeah, honestly, as nice as the Aviator jersey was, and as much as it grew on me, I really like this alternate jersey this year for sure. It looks really sweet. But you know, Seth, some big news. I was honestly really shocked to see this because you don't see this often. The resignation of Paul Maurice Friday morning. I woke up to the news. You texted me. I was in disbelief at first because I honestly never thought we'd see the day where Paul Maurice stepped down as the head coach. I thought he'd have a better chance of getting fired than him resigning, but it happened. He resigned after, 8 seasons with the Jets. This was his 9th year this season. Just looking at it, in 8 seasons before his year this year, he was 302 213, so 302 losses, 302 wins, 213 losses, 57 overtime losses, and he had 4 playoff appearances. Well, 4 playoff appearances, swept in the first round back in 2014-15. The Jets were by Anaheim, a Western Conference Finals appearance, 4-1 loss to Vegas in that in 2017-18, 2018-19, a first round exit to the St. Louis Blues, losing in 6 games, and of course, a second round exit and a sweep last season with Montreal, against Montreal. But, I'll get your thoughts first, how it was for you when you saw the news about Maurice resigning.
Yeah, pretty shocking. I think a lot of Jets fans were probably expecting Paul Maurice, if the wins were gonna keep not happening. I think a lot of Jets fans were expecting something to happen, but I definitely was not expecting him to resign. And after his whole press conference, it just seemed like it was truly his decision and no one else's in it. It's tough to see him go, but it's also good to bring in a new.
Yeah, and respect to how he handled himself in that press conference. Very self-aware that it was in fact time for him to step down, and for him to make this decision was pretty shocking because you really don't see that. But just for him to be as self-aware as he was, knowing that he couldn't push this team any further, was something that I like to see. Just someone admitting it was time to step down. But I'm going to give you the 3 reasons this had to be done, Seth. Over the years, I felt like the lineup decisions from Maurice were just, some of them didn't make sense. You had Nathan Beaulieu playing some of the most minutes out of anyone on the team at points this season. You play Nathan Beaulieu at forward. I mean, he's not that great at his position already. Why would you try him at another position, even though he was playing 4th line? The decision to play Tucker Pullman alongside, your franchise defenseman and Josh Morrissey really hindered Morrissey's game when Tucker Pullman was here, just neglecting to play a guy who deserves to be on the first line like Nikolai Ehlers. And we've seen him playing on the first line as of late, and it's done wonders for the Jets. And, just, my personal opinion on this, just neglecting to play a guy with such a high, huge upside, and Ville Heinola, Gustafsson as well, would be great, I think, as a fourth line centerman on this team, adding depth. And, just playing players that really didn't work that well together, most notably, a guy like Morrissey and Tucker Pullman together, where Tucker Pullman is nowhere he should be in the way he should be.
Never in the right position. Never in the right position.
But also the systems that he ran. And, I'm talking more about defensively, and I feel like we're still going to see this, defensive coverage continue to struggle because, with Dave Lowry as the coach, it's kind of that same philosophy throughout the coaching staff that they're following, right? But passive coverage, we should be more aggressive as a team. Got hemmed in the zone a lot of times, missed assignments time and time again. The PK has always been lackluster under him as well, if you look at the percentages. And just, expected goals for in terms of the analytics have gone down since 2018-19. I think that was the year, Seth, that it truly started to fall apart for Paul Maurice, when we started to not play as much of a complete game, obviously losing the talent we did on the back end were not the greatest as well. But for Maurice to get the credit that he did for turning around the defense that he had from 2019 to 2021, the season last year, when you got who has been like a top 3 goaltender in the world, Connor Hellebuck, masking, this team's very bad defensive deficiencies. Yeah. It's just, I think a huge part of why Maurice stayed longer than he did, in my opinion. And, the game plan as well for this team is always to go for stretch passes. And a lot of the time that just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And after a while, these systems got old, they got stale. Teams figured it out. The Jets became a predictable team, a team that could be playing fast, that's playing passive coverage in the defensive zone, can't get your feet moving early, which is huge. You see a lot of standing still with this team, and we've still seen it, I think, in these past few games as well. I'm not sure how long it's going to take for that to be rectified, but also I think the biggest thing is the same old message can be delivered anymore. It was a lot of talk about we're still coming into our prime. It's a process, but throughout 8 seasons, 4 playoff appearances, only 1 Western Conference final to show for it, 2 first-round exits, 1 being a sweep to Anaheim. And credit where credit's due, like getting that team to the postseason was huge, especially with the talent we had back then compared to now. So I don't really, put too much stock into that sweep, but it was the 6-game loss to St. Louis in that second season, when this team was finally supposed to take that next step even further and potentially make it back to the Western Conference Finals. They couldn't do it. And then last season, sweeping Edmonton was great, and then you get swept to Montreal. I know you had Mark Scheifele out of the lineup and DeMello, but PLD, he's had a fantastic season this year. You playing him on the first line when you could have played someone more effective up there. And Adam Lowry, I thought, deserved playing time on that first line last year in the playoffs, but he chose to continue to roll with the same lineup that continued to get torn apart by Montreal. And I think this year, just continuing to roll with the same lineups, playing guys where they shouldn't quite be, is something that just led to the Jets kind of falling apart under Paul Maurice as his time was coming to an end.
Yeah, it's just, I think also one thing with Paul Maurice's lack of success in the last few, especially starting last year after that, all those losses in a row. I think it was like a 7-game losing streak last year. I think a reason why, his tenure has ended so poorly as it has is because of, just the fact that, he's probably so close with these players. He probably doesn't scream or yell at them as much as he does, as a normal coach would. Obviously, you don't want to scream at your players too much, like that one guy named John, names being thrown out, John Tortorella. But you gotta be a little bit strict with the boys, and I think Paul Maurice probably lost some of that. But the good thing is he also noticed what he did wrong as well. So that's why he like left.
Yeah, and I think you put it perfectly there. The players respected Paul Maurice, no doubt about it, and players respected playing for him. There's no lie there, but you're so right in the sense that he became more of a friend to the players than a coach to the players, and once you do that, it becomes a slippery slope because then you start playing favorites a bit, not quite doing the best thing for your lineup. And we've seen the result of that and how it accumulated until the time of Maurice resigning this past Friday. But anything else you'd like to add to this whole situation of him resigning, Seth, or should we get into who we'd like to see as the next head coach for this Jets team if we were to choose?
I don't think I think a lot. If you watched Paul Maurice's press conference, I think that pretty much is enough for you to understand the whole situation. I think he covered it excellently, and I think he truly does want what's best for the team, and that's good to see that he still really cares about this city and this team. He wants them to do good, and that's why he left.
And that's the thing I think people got to understand. I've seen it in the comments on social media that people are upset about the move because we're losing a great man. And no doubt Paul Maurice is a great individual. He's a guy that did so much for the community. But you got to learn to separate the coach from the man. And I feel like that's something that Winnipeg fans that have been on the wanting Maurice to stay haven't been able to quite do, because he is a great man, no doubt about it. But after a while, this is a business. You got to expect better results, especially with the talent that this Winnipeg Jets team has had, and the team that has drafted a lot of good talent that hasn't quite been used to its full potential as of yet. But Seth, looking at it, of course, Dave Lowry is expected to be the head coach for the rest of the season for this team. Obviously, they're going to go out and find another head coach during the offseason, most likely. If you were in Mark Chipman's situation, as well as Kevin Cheveldayoff, who would you be looking at as the next head coach for the Winnipeg Jets, looking for that long-term plan with that coach?
It depends. I think if the Jets end up being good again, I don't think they should go out and try to get anyone. I think if Dave Lowry, I should say, does a good job as head coach, I think they should just try to sign him for a few years and see what he can do. Because, if you look back to Dave Lowry's career, he was, regarded as one of the better depth wingers, just one of the better depth players in the league. He was always a guy that teams could rely on to, do stuff defensively that wouldn't get the glory, and all that other stuff. So I think, Dave Lowry could be a good coach, especially what we need, because, he knows the defensive aspects of the game really well. So I think if he can get this team rolling, I don't see why we'd need to go get another coach.
Yeah. And, I'd love to see that happen. And, that would be great for that to happen, because boom, you don't have to go out and find another head coach. But I feel like I said before, I feel like the systems with this team still remain the same. And, I think not getting rid of him, but Paul Maurice resigning, I think is definitely the step in the right direction for this team, in my opinion. But I don't want to continue to see the same defensive systems with this team standing still, missing assignments. And I feel like even though they had success against the Blues and won, they played a much better defensive game in that game. You saw against Washington that, a lot of the issues were still relevant. But, for me, I'm looking at two guys here. Claude Julien, a proven winner, a guy that comes in with a wonderful track record, a guy that's had success almost everywhere that he's went. You look at Montreal, even though they struggled, at the end of his time there, this was one of the best 5-on-5 teams in the league, just looking at the analytics. And you look at Claude Julien, he'd offer something that the Jets really haven't had before at head coach, a guy that has won a Stanley Cup, a guy that's brought teams close to winning a Stanley Cup after that, and a guy that's always had good defensive systems as well. And I think that's a huge thing that would play a part into him coming here. And obviously with Montreal, he had the good deep. He had, obviously better luck in the defensive zone than in the offensive zone, but the talent in Winnipeg is much higher than Montreal at the forward group on the forward side of things. Get this team playing better defensive hockey. This Winnipeg Jets team, I think, is going to do some really good things. Another guy that I'd like to see come in, I think that it might be a bit of a better fit, is Pascal Vincent. He's had history with the Manitoba Moose coaching staff. I'm pretty sure he's been an assistant coach with the Winnipeg Jets, if I'm not mistaken. I know he's an assistant with Columbus now, but a guy that understands the talent of this team, the talent that he has, understands that, which guys to play in the lineup and which guys not to play, and a guy that's had success throughout his head coaching career in the AHL.
Yeah, certainly. I think Pascal Vincent would probably be a one of the better options, just because he knows a lot of the team, the Jets team, and he's very familiar with the organization and the city because he's been here. He was here for so many years. But yeah, it all depends really. I think though Dave Lowry's only had 2 games, so the system is probably he probably has other systems in mind, but the players aren't used to him being their head coach yet. He's only had 2 games, and really against Washington, Paul Maurice left that day, so the players' minds are probably somewhere else during the Washington game for the most part. That's probably, most teams who do get new coaches do win that first game, but because it happened the day of, it is tough, and I definitely do see why the players, they didn't win that game. Their minds probably weren't on the game itself that day.
Yeah, that is a great point there, Seth. It's it's only been 2 games for Dave Lowry, so we'll have to wait and see if he is going to be that guy. And this team looked pretty solid against St. Louis back on Sunday. The last game that the Jets will be playing until I think the next time they can play is against Calgary on New Year's Eve, because of the new rules in the NHL, not allowing cross-border games,
Canadian division.
Canadian teams, basically the Canadian division again. And basically
keep it like that now.
basically we're back in the COVID season of 2021 when the divisions realigned. But looking at the Winnipeg Jets, these past 2 games, 5-2 loss to Washington on Friday, and also a 4-2 win against the St. Louis Blues on Sunday. But Seth, your thoughts the past 2 games for the Winnipeg Jets, post Maurice era?
I actually do really like Dave Lowry's top 6 line combinations right now, especially that first line with Scheifele, Stastny, and Ehlers. I thought they played fantastic, especially in that Blues game. Every shift it felt like they were in the offensive zone getting opportunities. And hey, Ehlers got 4 points on 4 goals that game. So that he definitely is definitely liking where he's playing, I guess you could say.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And see what happens when you play Nikolai Ehlers on the first line. Good things happen. Happen, as he is one of our best forwards. But who was our second line again in that game? I know it had Dubois, Connor, and Vesalainen.
Yeah, that or Kopp. No, Kopp was back on the third line. I think you're right. I think Vesalainen was up on the second line for both those games.
Yeah, and what I noticed from Vesalainen's game, Seth, this guy hasn't had much opportunity to play in a top 6 role, but this was a guy that was doing a lot of the little things right and was making really smart plays. And to pair him with a guy like Dubois and Connor, obviously Vesalainen, his biggest strength coming in was probably his shot, but if he can continue to, use that vision that he's been having and making good passes and doing the little things right, he could be a very good complement to that second line moving forward.
Yeah, and I remember last year when he was coming up a little bit and he was playing, and I was really looking at him. I really wanted to watch and see what kind of player he was. And I don't know, for me, like, he definitely does not look like the sniper we drafted. He looks more like a depth piece you'd want to have in your bottom six, a guy that I've noticed he plays a pretty physical game. He's out there hitting guys often, and like you said, he does all the little things right. And, I think Vesalainen has the potential to be a forward in this league. I think he should be a forward in this league more often with any team he's in. It just, his role might have changed since he's been drafted. I don't know. That's just what I've seen from Vesalainen.
Yeah, for sure. He's been used more as that depth piece throughout his career here in Winnipeg. For him to get a shot in the top six was interesting because that's something we haven't really seen before. But he hasn't really been relied to be that sniper because I think that he's been more of that depth piece, like you said. So it's going to be interesting to see already with one of the best snipers in the league with Kyle Connor on his line, if he's going to be able to tap into his sniping ability and continue to complement that top six. As good as Scheifele and Ehlers have looked together, Seth, one thing, and, I've given credit to Scheifele when he's put up offense, but one thing that I feel like needs to change out of Mark Scheifele, and you look at it in that game against Washington, is the effort.
Yeah.
Like, Washington comes into the zone. Kyle Connor ends up taking that puck away and putting it to the boards, and then Washington gets possession of it. Well, because Mark Scheifele wasn't back-checking and wasn't giving it his absolute at all, we were basically on a 5-on-4 there for a short stint.
Yeah, the center's out there is supposed to be helping the defender out, and he's coasted back into the zone. So Kyle Connor has to go back and try to do what Scheifele's doing, and then no one's where Connor should be, and then there's a wide open spot for a defender to take a shot, and it's just a not very good situation.
Yeah, and then you look at a goal earlier in that game against Washington where puck gets moved up to the top in the Winnipeg zone by Washington, and then they find a man in the slot. That was Scheifele's guy right there, and Scheifele went too much down low, too much to the left side. And if he was to be a bit more in the middle there, maybe he could have taken the shot away there, or at least got a stick on it or got a block. It wouldn't have forced his right winger to commit to that guy, the offside winger on that play. It's just Scheifele, his defensive awareness just hasn't been there, and that begs the question. Interested to hear your thoughts on this. Even though Scheifele and Ehlers have looked so good together in the offensive zone, especially in that game against the Blues, looking at what PLD has done this season, I think he's second on the team in points. He's at least top 3, a guy that can play a much better two-way game. Would you, if you were Dave Lowry, make that switch and put PLD up for Scheifele and switch him to that second line, so you got Scheifele and Connor playing together still?
I don't know. Whenever I watch the Jets, I always notice that the first and second line, it's called first and second line, but I don't really notice any line getting more, especially over the top two. I don't notice any of those lines getting more shifts. Like, for me, I don't know. I don't think it really matters because Scheifele will still probably not work very hard. The effort probably won't be there in the defensive zone. So on either line, I just wish he would go back to the way he was in 2017-18. I remember that season. He was often penalty killing because of how hard he would work in both ends of the ice. And I think that's also just a testament to going back to Paul Maurice. He played so long under Paul Maurice, his efforts started to, not be there every single night. And, with Dave Lowry, maybe Dave will, whip him back into place. Who knows? But because I remember Scheifele was really, I was really impressed with him, a few years ago with how hard he worked in the defensive zone. But since then, he's definitely gone downhill.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You take a look at it, maybe down the line, like you may be looking at switching Shifley to the wing and getting someone a bit more reliable in one of the most important defensive positions, which is center, because Shifley has proven in his career that he can play on the right side or on the wing.
Yeah, and right now we need right wingers. So putting Shifley on the right side because he's right-handed, that might not be the worst idea, especially with a guy like, Cole Perfetti coming up. Maybe Shifley does move to the wing, and Perfetti takes his spot on his line as center. Or you shove him beside Pierre-Luc Dubois, and you get one of the best lines in the NHL with him, Dubois, and Connor. Who knows? I feel like Dubois, Shifley, and Connor line could be pretty hard for the other teams to stop.
Yeah, that would be exciting to see a line with a lot of speed, two good play drivers, and three good play drivers. As Dubois, PLD has shown he can be a fantastic play driver this year, driving that puck to the net in the offensive zone. Yeah, like I think switching Shifley over to the wing would help out his game a bit more in the defensive zone, because he wouldn't be relied to do as much in the defensive zone like a top six centerman should be able to do. Because when I'm thinking about a top six centerman, Seth, I'm thinking of a guy that can not only produce offense, right, but a guy that can also, come back hard, be, pretty solid defensively. That's just something Mark Scheifele hasn't been able to do throughout his career, as of late. Especially as time has gone along here in Winnipeg. But maybe he just needs a coach to light a fire under him and, put the stakes a bit higher and say maybe your ice time is in jeopardy if you don't step up defensively.
Yeah, certainly Scheifele needs to, and he's really good. And, Scheifele, I noticed a few times in the St. Louis game, I thought his effort was a little bit better in the St. Louis game, especially, on the one shift in the offensive zone. He took a shot, and it was a pretty bad one to the knee, and it looked like it hurt quite a bit. But he was laboring his leg, but he was also one of the first forwards back in the defensive zone. So it does show, some shifts he does have. The effort is there. I think he just needs it on a more consistent basis, because you look at top centers around the league, with the exception of a few of them, you can really rely on them to be reliable defensively, be working hard. There's only a few centers you can think of that maybe don't put as much effort in the defensive zone, and Scheifele is definitely one of them.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. Looking at the past goals in these games, the past goal scores for the Jets in that Washington 5-2 loss, we saw Brandon Dillon and Josh Morrissey scoring on the PP. Getting the goals for the Jets. Ehlers had 2 assists in that game. Nate Schmidt had an assist as well. And then in that 4-2 win over St. Louis, we saw Stastny getting 2 goals, one on the power play. One of his goals being from a pretty sharp angle. Pretty impressive. He got it in there. Ehlers and Scheifele scoring as well. And Ehlers with 3 apples for himself. Scheifele, Stastny, Lowry, and Brandon Dillon getting the assist as well. And I forget, was it Stastny's 500th assist in that game?
Yeah, 500 assists.
So pretty impressive mark for Mr. Paul Stastny to hit. But, looking at it, just in that game, the difference in the game from just the Jets, that, Friday night loss, the game being played recently after their coach of 8 years, 9 seasons this year resigns, compared to just how this team responded and came out and, was able to beat St. Louis on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it was a really good effort. And one thing I really noticed in that game was how good our penalty kill was. Every penalty, I think we had like four or five times where we were shorthanded. We killed every single one. So that was although we gave up a shorthanded goal, which, isn't the most fun thing to give up in the world, but we still got the Jets get the win. So that's always the good thing. But the penalty kill, a lot better, and it's looking a lot better and has been a lot better in the past however many games. It's starting to look up, I think. It's just the power play now that needs to start clicking on a more regular basis.
Yeah, and you look at the special teams numbers from these past two games. Winnipeg against Washington on Friday night was 1 for 3 on the power play. They killed off both 2 out of 2 of Washington's power plays, which was nice to see. And in the game on Sunday, the Jets once again 1 for 3 on the power play in that game, and they killed off all 3. It was actually 3 penalties St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
But I was more impressed in that game for Winnipeg against St. Louis, how they were able to kill off all those penalties, with just St. Louis coming into that game with 30.1% ranked power play.
Yeah.
Ranked, third in the league. So it's been an impressive penalty kill from the Jets as of late. It is something that has gotten better, and the new power play setup that this team has had, well, not new power play setup, but the power play setup as of late, a lot of quick passes, really using that that triangle up top where you got the one guy at the point, the 2 guys on the side, the guy in the bumper spot, and the guy down low. The Jets, I feel like, have been working the puck around a lot better on the power play, even though they haven't been generating at that high of a percentage. Like 1 for 3 is not too bad. And you just look at the quick passes, but also taking more time with their passes and not throwing it away as much is something that the Jets have been doing really good, and taking the space that and time that's been presented to them. Looking at it, St. Louis and Washington seem to not have the most aggressive power plays out there, and the Jets really took advantage of that and were able to, work the puck around and get some really nice looks on the power play.
Yeah, definitely. They were able to, and I like the fact that we got 2 guys who can really shoot the puck on both sides. Kyle Connor on one side, and Mark Scheifele on the other. Mark Scheifele, I think, has a pretty underrated shot. So I think him on that right side could be dangerous. Obviously, or on the left side could be dangerous. Obviously he doesn't have a Patrick Laine shot. No one really does except for Ovechkin. But to get 2 lethal weapons on both sides, it's only going to help. And you got, and like you said, just the way they've been positioning, having that guy in the bumper spot, and then that triangle formation is really they still haven't started scoring lots. Like as you said, they're 1 for 3, but it's only going to get, things are only going to get better. I think the Jets are. I genuinely believe the Jets are on an upward trend now with the way things I don't know, I got a feeling, I can't really explain it, just hope, I guess.
Yeah, and right as this team gets back in the win column, what happens? The NHL ends up going on pause. I know that they are done playing games. They have the Christmas break is in action now. I'm not sure when they're returning to playing, but like we mentioned before, Seth, the Canadian teams won't be able to cross the borders and play American teams at this point. So it's kind of going back to last season when we saw Canadian teams playing each other, which is going to be interesting how this schedule will work out. And once the borders do come open again for, these players to, they're not closed, but once players can cross the border again, these teams can cross the borders again to play. It will be interesting to see how they make up the games that are going to be missed on the schedule.
Yeah. I hope that they do it that way, and they don't just say, screw it, we're going to finish the year in an all Canadian division and then line up the divisions the way they were last year. Because I'm going to be honest here. I don't want to see the Jets play Connor McDavid 10 times. That's just not fun to watch. Same with the Maple Leafs, because just if the Maple Leafs win, it won't be fun to listen to. But and just because there's so much skill in the Canadian division, it's pretty like, I remember going into some games last season just being like, oh no, this is not going to be a fun game to watch. And then it turns out it was either not bad or it was even worse than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at the story here where they announced the pause, the rules in it. But Connor Hellebuck saying that the NHL's pause is overkill. Of course, this league announced a schedule freeze from December 22nd to December 25th this past Monday, and he said, I can't speak for everyone, but the feelings for myself, it's a little overkill. You see leagues like the NFL who are adapting and I think doing things right. It sucks, but it's Christmas time, so we're enjoying the break. Going to use this as a little mental reset, see family, and enjoy the holidays. So after listening to that, Connor Hellebuck's comments, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him because this might be his only opportunity in his career to go to the Olympics and be the starting goalie, and to have that all ripped away, it must suck for Hellebuck, for a guy that's never been to the Olympic stage. So I do feel bad for him, and I feel bad for everyone that wanted to go, but yeah, it is. There's not much to say. He's going into he's just gonna go and try to offload and really just enjoy the break. Yeah, I think a lot of players probably need this after all the drama with all the COVID stuff in the NHL and just everything that's happened with every situation leading into this year. It's kind of just been the NHL has kind of felt like just not a very good place to be in right now over the past year and a half.
Yeah, and he was actually just talking about the league shutting down the NHL, not about the Olympics. But
okay.
Talking about the Olympics, yeah, like NHL players won't be able to go, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But it's tough because the NHL a lot different than the NFL in terms of like there's no Canadian teams in the NFL, so they travel within the country and you got to travel way more playing Canadian teams than the NHL. So it's tough. I think that the NHL not putting the league on complete pause is a huge plus because it would suck not to have hockey, one, and two, I think he is right that, leagues are adapting to it in a way. And I think the NHL, the best way for them to adapt to this is just going back to, Canadian teams playing Canadian teams for a while, American teams playing American teams for a while. Obviously, you don't want that to happen for a long time, longer than it needs to happen. But I think at this point, with the rising numbers, the COVID cases, the amount of teams that shut down, I think them putting the pause on this early, postponing games until Christmas, and keeping it with Canadian teams playing Canadian teams, American teams playing American teams is probably the best way to handle it at this point. I think the NHL did a good job there. And honestly, it sucks that we're not going to be seeing Olympics for NHL players going, but that is honestly, I think, a good decision, even though a lot of players wanted to go and that's their dream to play in the Olympics. Like, if you get COVID, you test positive in China, you got to stay in
5 weeks.
for 5 weeks.
It's ridiculous.
That would be awful. That would be awful for the NHL if that were to happen. But it just sucks because, you got to question a lot of the older players that are going to have that had a chance to go this year. Will this be the last time that have we seen the last of them in the Olympics?
Have we seen the last of Crosby in the Olympics?
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think the most iconic goal scored in Canadian hockey history by Sidney Crosby. Would love to see him play again in the Olympics. I honestly feel like if injury doesn't get in the way, Sidney Crosby is going to play for as long as he wants, as long as he can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you see that in other sports too, most notably the NFL. Tom Brady, obviously the situation is a lot different, but he's proven that he can play until 44 years old. I mean, you saw Jaromir Jagr continue to play in the NHL well into his 40s. So it's definitely possible.
He's still playing hockey.
Yeah, he's still playing hockey, just not in the NHL. But it's so impressive to see Jagr still playing hockey and one of the most underrated players in NHL history as well. But just your thoughts in general. Just no Olympics from the NHL and NHLPA announcing that.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it, especially seeing as the division we were in. It was pretty interesting. We got a rival in USA, and then having the China team in our division as well for the Olympics would have been pretty interesting to see. But yeah, it is kind of unfortunate that there is no Olympics. But I do respect it and their decision to cancel it, because 5 weeks in China while your team is starting to play games again would just not be a fun situation, especially if you're one of the better players on your team.
Yeah, could you imagine Connor McDavid ends up getting COVID for the Edmonton Oil, and he plays for Edmonton, right? And then he ends up having to stay in China for 5 weeks. Could you imagine that? Edmonton fans would be not too happy about that, I feel like.
Yeah, because their team would just suck then.
Just
and that's the truth.
Or is Germany in the Olympics? Were they set to be in the Olympics for hockey? Yeah.
Just imagine them in Draisaitl, maybe worse than Arizona.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so funny to see. But yeah, I think the worst part about this is, and I know that a lot of people are going to say that pro players don't belong in the Olympics. It's for amateur athletes. But I've said this many times, Seth, and I think I've said it around you, is that the Olympics, in my opinion, should be the best of the best athletes in the world.
Best of the best. I agree.
And for the Olympics, I feel like it hurts the hockey side of things, because people are going to tune in more if NHL players are playing, rather than, players that have maybe played in the league but don't play in the league anymore, or players that aren't as well known. So I think that it could hurt the viewership in hockey in that way, just the attention put on hockey in the Olympics, which sucks. And it does suck that we're not going to see the best on best playing against each other. But I think at the same time, this needed to be done just because of the COVID situation right now in the world with this new variant and Omicron, and just, with the NHL doing what's best for them, wanting to control what they can control, which is, trying to get the season underway again as best as they can. And, I think if a top player were to get COVID and would have to quarantine, that would definitely hurt teams. And I don't think teams would be too happy with the situation at that point.
No, yeah. And especially teams like Edmonton, who lose, massive part of their team in Draisaitl or McDavid. It would just be awful for them, because, it would be very hard to win games after losing the two best players in the league, essentially, though they are the two best players in the league. So it would not be fun. It would be terrible for them to lose those guys. And thinking about, just any team, it would be terrible for any team to lose these players for 5 weeks just because they got COVID and they're stuck in China. So it would suck. But yeah, it was definitely a good decision for the NHL to say, just kind of say no, really, I guess, to that idea.
Yeah, and another team came to mind, as much as this team is so talented, this would be a huge blow to them. Could you imagine if somehow Andrei Vasilevsky, Steven Stamkos, Braden Point, and Victor Hedman all tested positive?
They just cheat the salary cap system again.
Yeah. But that would be crazy. A team that sends a bulk of players to a team, and then they end up testing positive and having to quarantine, that just it wouldn't end well, I feel like. But that's going to do it for the Olympic talk. For the NHL, we'll talk about one more thing, and then I'm going to send it to a commercial break here, Seth, and let you go. But the World Juniors. The best time of the year. Hopefully it happens and COVID does not mess up the holiday season and somehow cancels this tournament. But I'm going into this tournament with the mindset that it's going to happen. Team Canada, of course, has their team selected. They've named their captains. I believe it's Caden Goalie got the C, Perfetti got an A, and who else got an A?
Jake Neighbors.
So 3 solid leaders there, Seth. Any surprises? Anyone that you thought should have been named a captain?
No, I was expecting. You can call me a biased Jets fan for this or not. I was expecting Cole Perfetti to get a letter, but if you watch any of his interviews, you'd understand that he's a future captain of an NHL team. So he goes so well about it. He speaks so well, and he just has perfect. He just knows exactly what to say for every question. He's well said in the media. So I was, if he wouldn't have gotten it, that would have been my only, or even an A. Like, I'm fine. I like who our captain is. Caden Goalie was one of the more relied upon defenders last year in the World Juniors. So for him to get the C this year, it's a good decision, I think.
Yeah, and talking about Perfetti, like, not only, like you said, he handles himself professionally, but this is a guy that has, he hasn't had much time, but he's touched the NHL ice before. He's played at numerous different levels, and he was a part of the team last year, so he's had experience, and he's one of the older players on the team. So going to be exciting to see him lead along with Jake Neighbors and, of course, Captain Caden Gooley. But just in terms of a player that you're most excited to watch on the team this year, that was selected to, go out and play for Team Canada at the World Juniors this season.
Yeah, there's a lot of good players. Last year it would have been Cole Perfetti, but I'm going to go away from him because he's a Jet, and we've already seen what he can do in certain areas. So I'm going to go ahead and say Shane Wright, just because he's the projected first overall pick for this year. He's a very good hockey player, and I haven't seen much highlights of him, so I would just like to get a good look at him before his draft year in this World Juniors. And I think, this is the perfect opportunity to get a good look at him.
Yeah, and you stole mine there, Seth. I was gonna say Shane Wright, but honestly, like, no harm there. Like, it's kind of obvious that Shane Wright, he is honestly the player I'm most excited to watch. But I'm gonna go with another player, and that's,
I think I know who.
Winnipeg, Manitoba's own Carson Lambos, defenseman. Plays for the Winnipeg Ice, of course. Was drafted this past NHL draft, and this is a guy that is a highly touted prospect coming into his draft year. Unfortunate, he's run into some issues with his health that has hindered him. But you just look at him here, Seth. Like, this guy is 6'1", 196 pounds. A guy that has proven that he can put up some offense throughout his career as well. Like, you look at his season in 2019, 2020, his first year playing in the WHL for a full season, like 32 points in 57 games played for a defenseman. He has 18 points in 19 games this year for a defenseman. Going to be a defenseman I feel like is going to be expected to play in a lot of big situations for Team Canada. And I'm excited to take a look and see what Carson Lambos is able to do for Team Canada.
Yeah, Carson Lambos is cool. I was thinking, in that draft, if we weren't able to, if we could have selected him, I think the Jets should have. Because he's a defensive prospect, and I know we already got a lot of left-handed defensemen. So I mean, he wouldn't have been that. It would have been really hard for him to make the roster. But yeah, he's a good two-way defender, and I'm interested to see. I like that pick of yours. I thought you were gonna say the young man on the team, Connor Bedard. I'm not gonna lie, but Carson Lambos is definitely a really good pick.
See, I am excited to see Connor Bedard, and like, Connor Bedard is, I think, a generational talent. Like, I think he has a chance to be that in the NHL. It's just, you look at the history of underage players making this team.
Yeah.
Excited I am to see Connor Bedard. How much playing time is Connor Bedard going to get on a team like Team Canada with him being underage? But who knows, like, how they're going to be using him, because Connor Bedard has proven at that U18 stage this past summer. I forget when the tournament was played, maybe in spring, but with that U18 team, he was one of the tournament leaders in points, and he was like the youngest player in Hockey Canada history to win a gold medal, I'm pretty sure. So there's definitely an opportunity there for Connor Bedard to get some playing time. But I think why Lambos felt at number 26 to the Minnesota Wild is because of just those health issues that he's had, which is unfortunate to see, because I feel like he's got a lot of good talent, and he's proven that he can, like, be a good shooter. He's proven that he can put up some offense, and he's proven that he can be a solid, reliable defenseman in his own end as well. So I'm excited to see him play along with your pick, Shane Wright, of course, most likely going first overall in the upcoming NHL draft. Excited to just see this tournament happen. Hoping it happens, Seth, because it would be devastating if this tournament gets canceled due to COVID.
Yeah, I I don't think it will. To be honest, it was going last year when COVID was not so good, and I just think like the players are quarantining in Edmonton, I'm pretty sure. So I think like if they're doing what they were doing last year, then I think they should be okay to play. I don't know. I don't see why they wouldn't play if no one is if they're doing what they were doing last year. But I don't know. I don't know anything in this new day and age. No one knows anything anymore.
Yeah. I guess for me, like I have a feeling like the tournament will happen like last year, like it was able to happen. But I also always have this feeling that, expect the worst. The worst has happened a lot of times throughout.
Expect disappointment and you won't get disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great motto there, Seth. But
I got that from a movie I watched recently.
Was that what movie is that?
Is that new Spider-Man movie?
New Spider-Man movie. See, I've heard that line from somewhere before, though. I'm sure it's been used in other movies.
Probably, yeah.
I can't think of the. Oh, I know the movie. Solo, that Star Wars movie, that Han Solo Star Wars movie. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Sure I heard it from there, but I'd have to rewatch that. Seth, speaking of Spider-Man, might see that during the break, so that'll be a lot of fun. But Seth, I'll see you one more time here for 2021 when we do your segment, Seth's Inside Scoop. Come for that Thursday night edition of Coffee with Graham tomorrow. But this is the last time that you'll be on Rise and Shine Manitoba this year, as it is the last show of 2021. Excited to do this thing again with you, Graham's Opinion, where we talk about the Jets and other things happening in hockey in the new year. Until then, man, until I see you Thursday night, you take care.
Yep, thank you.
And Seth Rock, of course, joining the show here on this Wednesday evening. We're not done yet, though, on Graham's Opinion. Coming up after the break, I'm going to be going solo to talk about some Christmas stuff. Why eggnog, I think, is the best. Why, what Christmas meal, what Christmas dish I think is the best as well. And the 12 reasons I am that I love Christmas here on Rise and Shine Manitoba show coming up here next. My opinion on a lot of things Christmas on Rise and Shine Manitoba. Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTV Productions. We are going to continue on with the second part of Graham's Opinion. Of course, Seth Rock joining the show with me in the first part to talk a lot of things hockey, talking about the Winnipeg Jets, the resignation of Paul Maurice, as well as the Jets' past two games, and taking a look at, the COVID situation in the NHL, their announcement to shut down the league from today all the way into Christmas. But also talking about the Olympics being canceled as well. And just talking about some good stuff, talking about the World Juniors too. Also, one thing I forgot to mention to Seth is the change in the Olympic roster that I would have made from last week. I would have changed out Mark Scheifele for Ryan O'Reilly, just with Ryan O'Reilly having a better defensive game than Mark Scheifele, being more effective in both zones. I think that's a reason why I'd have Ryan O'Reilly in there. Also, a guy that can, be very reliable in the face-off dot, as he's one of the best face-off men in the NHL. But let's move into the Christmas portion of the segment, of course, with Christmas 3 days away. What better time, what better way to end off the final edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba for 2021 than talking about some good things about Christmas. So what I'm going to be doing here is talking about why eggnog is the best. And actually, I'll be right back. I'm going to get some eggnog and sip some here on air. I'll be right back. So here we got it. It's kind of blending into the screen here because this is green. The carton is, but this is Beatrice eggnog. It's 2%. This is the good stuff. I love eggnog. I've been drinking it for as long as I can remember. I'm just going to pour it in a different glass here, not in my mug. And I'm going to sip it here and give you guys my thoughts, my honest thoughts, why I think eggnog is the best. And honestly, why I think eggnog is the best around the holiday season is just, it just reminds me of Christmas. Obviously it's a Christmas drink, but gives me that Christmas feeling. It gives me that feeling that the holiday season is underway. And people say it's a bit too sweet. I like the sweetness, like that sweet, thick eggnog going down the throat. Something that is very tasty in my opinion. Just the texture of eggnog, the taste of eggnog. Like I said, some people find it too sweet, but I think that it's delicious. I think that it's the best. And like I said, it just reminds me that the holiday season is underway, and that just means that Christmas is that much closer. But, talking about my favorite Christmas dish, like obviously you got your traditionals like turkey, maybe you go with ham, or maybe you go a bit less traditional and maybe it's traditional for some people, but not for my family. Some people order Chinese food for Christmas. I know that my girlfriend did that last year. So they definitely did something a bit different than they usually do, her and her family. But my favorite Christmas dish, honestly, isn't the traditional stuff like the turkey and the ham. As good as that is, I love turkey and I love ham. I might like ham a bit better, to be honest. You got your mashed potatoes, your veggies, your gravy as well. But I gotta say, my favorite dish of the holiday season, something my mom made for the first time last year, is twice baked potato casserole. If you've ever had twice baked potato, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's just so good. And she makes a twice baked casserole. It's like a whole twice baked potato in a casserole dish, which is just outstanding. And she puts some chives on there. She puts a lot of cheese in there, and it's just so delicious. It's creamy. It's really smooth. And honestly, I would take that over mashed potatoes. I'm serious. Every day. I used to love mashed potatoes. I still do love mashed potatoes, but definitely something that I'll be looking forward to this year. I hope that she is making it. Actually, I'm pretty sure she isn't, so that's a disappointment. But my favorite Christmas dish, honestly, has become that twice baked casserole, because for one reason, it's just so darn tasty. But here's the time where I'm going to give you guys the 12 reasons why I love Christmas. Got to start off with something simple, the food. Like I said, you got your ham or maybe traditionally turkey, but you can also go with ham too. or anything else. Just so many good Christmas dishes out there. Your mashed potatoes, your veggies, twice baked casserole. Just a lot of options out there. I know some people have mac and cheese, which is something that I think would probably top my list because I love homemade mac and cheese. It's just my family won't make that for Christmas. Never made it for Thanksgiving as well. But just the food, just so good, just having homemade food and being able to spend time with family while eating that food. And that's another reason why I love Christmas, is it's just you get to see family that you haven't seen for a long time. Maybe you get to share good memories with them, get together and have a great time on Christmas Eve or Christmas. Spending time with loved ones. For me, me and my girlfriend Laura Prokop have been together for almost 2.5 years now, which is absolutely crazy. I've loved every single minute of it. She's the best person in the world. But not getting to spend time with her last year because of COVID-19 was tough, with the restrictions. And obviously family goes into the category of spending time with loved ones too. But I'm speaking more about the people I love a bit more. I love her more than anything in the world. So, getting to spend time with her is going to be one of the big reasons why this Christmas is going to be awesome. Talking about the treats, of course, you got your shortbread, many different cookies. Shortbread is the only thing I can think of. Oh, clod hoppers. My mother has started to make this thing called Christmas crack, where she takes like crackers, puts chocolate on them and really spices it up, puts a bunch of different candy toppings on them. But just the treats in Christmas, it's elite. You got the chocolates too, which is awesome. Shortbread is my favorite holiday treat of the Christmas season. So yeah, treats are another reason why I love Christmas. And something that I still do is doing the advent calendar, chocolate advent calendar, where there's many different days, 24 days on my advent calendar that I have, and you eat a chocolate a day. Just something that it makes you pay attention to the countdown of Christmas, and you get to eat some pretty good chocolate too. In this case, I've been eating Lindor this year in the advent calendar that was bought for me by my wonderful mother. But the presents, that's a huge thing of the holiday season as well, of Christmas. It's a time where you can maybe get a bit greedy and ask for something nice for yourself, which is always great. And the plus is, even though you might not get everything you ask for, you get to get some stuff that maybe you've been wanting for a very long time. And a nice feeling when you open a present and you get something really nice. And stocking stuffers are awesome too. You can put candy in there, maybe a magazine, maybe some other stuff as well. Stocking stuffers is always an awesome time of opening presents on Christmas Day. And just people giving back to the less fortunate. I've been, donating anytime I can this year to hospitals and stuff. Not major, but at Walmart you check out, and then there's I think it's CNM. You have a choice to donate there, and I've been doing that. It's just something that not as maybe CNM not classifying that as less fortunate, but giving to foundations that need money at this time of year and given to charities. I think that's what makes the Christmas season so great, to see so many people being unselfish and giving back to people who or giving to people that might need a bit more money than you might need, if that's the right word. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but what I am trying to say is seeing people giving back to the less fortunate, giving to the less fortunate, is definitely something that warms my heart to see. It just proves that a lot of people are unselfish this time of year, and that's part of the Christmas spirit, is just giving. And that's such a wonderful thing to be able to give. And for people that are in that position to do that, it just shows that, in my opinion, you use the privilege you have of having, maybe more money than someone else. Just an amazing thing to see. But Christmas movies, also another reason why I love Christmas. You got your Home Alone's, Elf, as well as a classic that I love, Jingle All the Way. Can't forget to mention Polar Express, which might be my favorite Christmas movie, and the Santa Claus 2 and Santa Claus 3, all very good movies, and there's many more as well. I know the Christmas Story, I haven't really seen that one. Of course, there's the Grinch. So many great movies to watch during the holiday season. And then looking at it, Christmas music, not all of it, but a lot of it, just another thing that signifies that the time of year is here, the best holiday in the world. And, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Run, Run, Rudolph. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. The Charlie Brown Christmas CD. Like, there's so many great Christmas music choices. A lot of them are obnoxious, but a lot of them are classics. Gotta love the great Christmas music that is out there. Talking about the snow. Seeing a white Christmas is always a great thing, but just seeing the snow in general, I've talked about it before. It just means that we're one step closer to Christmas. And I think for the last thing I'm gonna add here is just World Juniors. Christmas time means World Juniors starts very soon on Boxing Day. It's the best time of the year for me as a hockey fan to sit back and watch some of the best young talent in the world at the U20 level. And it's just not holiday season without it's not Christmas time without the World Juniors. And I hope that they don't cancel it somehow this year, because that would be devastating for sure. But never really Christmas without the World Juniors. And once you start seeing the commercials on TV advertising for the World Juniors, it's about that time, which is awesome. But yeah, folks, those are about the 12 reasons why I love Christmas. And to all the viewers who have tuned in to Rise and Shine Manitoba throughout 2021, since I've started being the host, I hope that I haven't been too annoying. I hope that I haven't rambled on too much to you guys' dislike. But I do want to thank you all for tuning in to Rise and Shine Manitoba every morning here, especially since we've switched over from Monday mornings to Wednesday. It's been wonderful to have everyone's support watching this show. I hope that you guys have a wonderful holiday season, a wonderful Christmas as well. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all the viewers of Rise and Shine Manitoba. You guys are a huge part of why this show is airing, because without you guys' viewership, wouldn't be able to be doing this every Wednesday morning. I want to thank the guests once again for coming on here on Rise and Shine this morning, in Gordie Tumilson, Harry Siemens, and Bill Johnson, as well as Seth Rock, as well as to all the other guests that have come on here since I've been hosting Rise and Shine Manitoba in 2021. And I also want to thank the sponsors of today's episode in Evolve Green and AETI for sponsoring the final edition of Rise and Shine for 2021. We will be back here for Rise and Shine Manitoba in 2022. Can't wait to be doing it. Can't wait to be bringing you guys some great coverage from around Manitoba once again. And once again, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year as well. Hopefully you guys get everything you want for Christmas. Hopefully you guys have a, safe and warm Christmas, as well, as it does get pretty darn cold this time of year. This is the time to go out, spend time with family, spend time with friends. If you're able to do so, enjoy it. I know I'll be enjoying every minute of it. But until 2022, folks, I've been your host of Rise and Shine Manitoba, Graham Forsyth, signing off with a cheers here on Manitoba's show. Until 2022, folks. See you then. Peace out.